So today we're going to talk about how we select the private banks that we work together with. And not all clients might be familiar with how we work as wealth managers in Switzerland because the system is a little bit different to the US. What we as WHVP are considered is a registered investment advisor. We are licensed by the Securities and Exchange Commission in the US, and we are a wealth manager, not a bank. So we don't have a banking license. We rely on third party banks that custody the assets of our clients. And then on the account, we get a limited power of attorney, which enables us to obtain information on our clients' behalf and also make investment decisions that are aligned with the investment strategy that we have determined together with them at the beginning of the relationship. So I would like to talk to you, Urs, today about how we select the private banks that we work together with, what we focus on, and how we determine which bank is best for our clients. Do you want to take it off?
Yeah, definitely. So the the first and the most important point we are looking at is safety. So whenever we look at the bank, we're looking for safety because that's the reason why people work with us, why people have money offshore, or that's one of the reasons. So that is important. But there are also other considerations as the relationship with the bank, the size of the bank, the complexity of the bank, the balance sheet of the bank, and the information the bank provides towards the client. As you rightfully stated, we are an external party, kind of, that we have limited power of attorney to the bank, but there is also a relationship which gets established between the bank and the client. So the bank provides information to the client, and it is important that the information is easily accessible, that it is easily understandable as well, and that it is accurate, especially when it comes to our clients, US persons who have to file their taxes with the IRS.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned two very important points. One is the safety aspect, and that's the reason why we only currently work with banks in Switzerland and Liechtenstein. In our opinion, those jurisdictions are the two safest ones for banking in the world, which is why we don't work with banks in any other countries for new relationships at this point in time. And then the other aspect you mentioned is that we almost exclusively work with US clients. So it's very important to us that the banks that we work together with have a long track record of working with US clients, that they understand the needs and worries of US clients, that they know the US rules and regulations, that their employees speak English, and then, of course, also that they issue a good and thorough tax statement so our US clients can report the account to the IRS and pay their taxes on that.
Yeah, and it's also the accessibility from the side of WHVP, because with the client sitting in the US, oftentimes it's a long, what is it like, a
Distance?
long distance relationship already. So we also want to give our clients a comfort that if there is anything coming up with the bank which needs physical presence, we can hop into our car or into public transport, which is beautiful, working great in Switzerland, and then go to the banker and then we talk to them. And that's also the kind of relationship we want. We want to be able to talk to the people at the bank. We want to know the team and the team knows us, so that whenever anything is coming up, that we don't have to just call a hotline or whatever and then get stuck.
Absolutely. Personal relationships with the banks is so important. And one factor that we really consider here is that the bank needs to have a certain size for the assets of our clients so that the clients do not make up like a significant portion of the balance sheet of the bank. But at the same time, we want it to be small enough so that there are flat hierarchies and we can easily talk to the management team of the bank or even the board of directors or the people owning the bank. So we really preferred family owned and managed banks because they also have a very risk averse approach typically to the business model that they have. We have one bank that is so risk averse they don't even give out mortgages. And if you have a family business, and we see that with WHVP as well, I mean, we're also a family business running the second generation. We think in decades and generation, whereas publicly traded companies tend to think more about quarter to quarter. And that's something that's very important to us. We are here to preserve our clients' wealth for the generations to come and not just until like Q2 of this year. So this is something that we really take into consideration. And I think we are very happy with the handful of relationships that we have built with the banks that we currently have. We know that their service level is very high, that their US expertise is high, that they're small enough for fast decision and entrepreneurial thinking. And so far, we are really happy.
Yeah, better we are. Yes, of course. And another point which I also want to raise is that we as an asset manager also are also looking at the whole overall fee structure. So we negotiate the fees, the conditions with the banks so that they are favorable for our clients and also allow our clients to maybe access a bank which they otherwise couldn't because uh, oftentimes with private banks, if you want to do business with them directly, the minimums are much higher than what they are when you go through an registered investment advisor as ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a very important point. And then maybe we can also quickly talk about like the safety of the Swiss banking system in general, because we oftentimes get questions about whether or not Switzerland or Liechtenstein has something similar to the FDIC in the US. So, a sort of insurance in the very unlikely case of a bankruptcy of one of the banks that we work together with. We have been in business for almost 35 years, and none of our banks have even come close to any sort of financial problems during that period, but it's still an important point to address. And yeah, we're very happy to report that Switzerland has very good safety regulations in place. It's a highly regulated place when it comes to financial services. So you have 100,000 Swiss francs in cash that will be insured in the case of a bankruptcy of the bank. So you will get that money back, no questions asked, immediately. But then on top of that, all stocks, bonds, and physical precious metals that you hold in your portfolio, they're off the balance sheet of the bank. So they are held in your own name or whatever structure the account is held in. And that means all those investments will be transferred to another portfolio in your own name, wherever else in the world. So that means if the bank were to go under, you only have to worry about cash that exceeds the 100,000, and that doesn't necessarily have to be gone entirely. It just means that that excess cash will move into the bankruptcy proceedings of the bank and might take a few years. You might only get a percentage back. But if you're fully invested, then you will be almost entirely secure if something were to happen to the bank.
Yeah, and I mean we are in contact with the bank on a daily basis. I mean it's not that something like that happens from today to tomorrow. So if there are certain signs that are worrying to us, we will take measures.
Absolutely. And also, another benefit of working with an independent asset manager like ourselves is if you're unhappy with the bank, and there can be other reasons to be unhappy with the bank, doesn't necessarily have to do with their safety, you can change banks while keeping the same relationship manager with your wealth manager. So that means you could have two bank accounts and the same relationship manager at that WHVP. You can move from one bank to another and keep your same relationship manager. And working with a boutique firm like ours just gives you this continuity that you might not have if you work with a larger bank directly.
Absolutely. There is nothing from my side to add. That's a beautiful end.